Imagine having your own bazooka as a child that could fire mini missiles across your living room, or playing with lawn darts, a game that could seriously hurt someone with just one throw. Sounds crazy, right? Well, it didn't seem that crazy back then when kids played with all sorts of dangerous, weird, yet amazingly fun toys. Get ready because today we're diving into the most unforgettable and unbelievable toys from the past. Trust me, you won't believe what we used to play with. Back in the old days, the cheerful sounds of Marx trains echoed through living rooms. Marx trains were a colorful and nostalgic icon of the mid-20th century. Launched in 1934, Louis Marx and Co. made these affordable and tough model trains so kids could create their own miniature railroads at home. With tracks, tunnels, and engines clinking and clanking, Marx trains took kids on endless adventures across their living room floors. And speaking of adventures, let's saddle up for a journey with Wild West legends leading the way. The Roy Rogers toys were a fun cowboy collection inspired by the famous cowboy, Roy Rogers. With action figures and toy pistols, these toys let kids act out their cowboy dreams. Roy's horse, Trigger, and his partner, Dale Evans, were part of the set too. These toys weren't just for pretend gunfights. They told stories of the old American West, with dusty saloons and heroic battles. And just as Roy Rogers' toys sparked imagination, our next stop brings creativity to life where food takes on the shape of a playful companion. We're talking about Mr. Potato Head, the weirdest vegetable you've ever met. In 1952, Hasbro launched Mr. Potato Head. It started as a box of facial pieces that kids would stick onto a real potato. Later, the plastic potato we know today was made, with parts like eyes, noses, and hats that could be swapped around to create funny faces. This toy helped kids be creative as they made silly faces. Playing with a vegetable might sound odd, but get ready to meet a true icon from TV history who's about to steal the show. From potatoes to puppets, here is Howdy Doody, the wooden marionette that won America's heart in the late 1940s. This freckle-faced cowboy had his own TV show and soon became a popular doll that kids could move with strings, just like the puppet on TV. Howdy Doody was a national hit, becoming one of the first TV merchandise items. Kids could bring the show home and act out their favorite episodes. Howdy Doody puppets were cool, but the next toy on our list is likely even more quirky. Have you ever wanted to make your own bugs as a kid? Well, your grandparents enjoyed doing that for real. We are talking about the Thingmaker from the 1960s, which was a strange and fun toy that let kids create rubbery creatures using metal molds and gooey plastic heated in a small oven. It sounded wild, but it let kids make their own mini monsters, from spiders to dinosaurs, in just a few minutes. Isn't that every kid's fantasy? It was a perfect toy to spark creativity and imagination in kids. Now get ready to hear about something that could soar through the sky. Hold on to your helmets, because lawn darts are coming in fast. These famous toys, also known as jarts, were very popular in the 1950s and 60s. They were big darts you threw across the yard, with heavy, metal tips that you aimed at a target on the ground. The game might sound easy, but it was known for being dangerous. It was so risky that it got banned in many countries. Let's move on to something less risky and more on the adorable side. This generation is familiar with Talking Tom, but earlier generations had talking dolls in their time. The Chatty Cathy doll was not just any doll. This 1960s icon could actually speak. Pull her string, and Cathy would say things like, "I love you," or "Let's play." This was possible because of a clever phonograph system inside the doll, which changed the toy world. Chatty Cathy was the first talking doll to win the hearts of millions. As Cathy became more popular, new versions with different phrases and looks were made. Cathy might have been a girl's favorite, but the next toy we have is all about action made for boys. Here is the Rock'em Sock'em Robots, a classic from 1964 that puts two plastic robots in a boxing match. Kids would press buttons to move their robots' arms, trying to knock the other robot's head off with a fun pop. This action toy wasn't just about smashing robots. It brought competitive fun between siblings and friends everywhere. But if you think this was the most fun toy of the vintage era, then wait till you see how much more creative playthings they had. Twister was a 1966 game that had players bending and stretching into funny positions. Created by Reen Geyer, Twister quickly became a family favorite because it turned people into game pieces. The goal was to spin the wheel, place your hand or foot on the right color, and try not to fall over. It was strange, it was silly, but it made family game night a lot more fun. While this toy was all about twisting and turning, what comes next will spin the fun in an entirely different direction. Here we have the Swing Wing, a head-spinning toy from 1965. With its colorful tassel, this peculiar headgear was made by Transogram. Kids would swing their heads around to see the tassel whirl like a helicopter. It was a ridiculous toy that got everyone moving, but it could leave you a bit dizzy. But next is something truly memorable and nostalgic, perfect for building dreams and hauling loads. Those who have played with Tonka trucks can vouch for how memorable they are. These were the tough toys built for adventure. Created in 1946, these metal trucks let kids build mini construction sites. From dump trucks to bulldozers, they were strong enough for any playtime challenge. Digging, hauling, and creating with them was pure fun. Tonka trucks were more than just toys, they sparked imagination. Tonka trucks fueled construction dreams, and next up, we've got a toy that let kids mold their imagination just as easily. Play-Doh was probably one of the most popular toys in the world. This colorful, squishy toy from the 1950s was originally a wallpaper cleaner that Joe McVicker turned into a fun dough for kids. They could mold Play-Doh into anything, from animals to castles, sparking creativity and improving motor skills. Play-Doh made messy fun into art and became a favorite everywhere. Now get ready for something different, as a soldier with a mission is coming next. G.I. Joe was the action hero from 1964. Made by Hasbro, this 12-inch figure gave boys their own action doll. G.I. Joe was a soldier and adventurer, inspiring kids to create stories and missions. With different outfits and gear, they could fight villains or save the day. Isn't it cool? Now we will be getting into a world full of bugs and laughs. Cootie Game was a fun bug-building game similar to the Thingmaker, but very unique in its own way. It was made in the 1940s by Milton Bradley. Players rolled dice to collect parts and make their own goofy, colorful bugs. It was a mix of luck and strategy, while also boosting motor skills. The game's quirky silliness made it a family favorite. Assembling bugs was a child's favorite thing to do in the past. So what could top that? Maybe something like going on a journey through a colorful, sweet, and sugary land. Roll the dice and follow the path in Candyland, a fun board game from 1948. Created by Eleanor Abbott, this quirky game takes players through a colorful kingdom of tasty treats. Kids draw cards to move along the rainbow path, learning colors and counting while having a blast. Candyland turned game night into a sugary adventure, making it a classic in households. But Candyland wasn't the only imaginary world. There was something even weirder for science lovers to play with. Here's the game for all-time bookworms. Gilbert U-238 Atomic Energy Laboratory is a mind-boggling toy launched in 1950. This unique science kit introduced kids to the fascinating world of atomic energy through experiments, complete with real radioactive materials. Produced by the Gilbert Company, it sparked curiosity and a love for science, teaching children about the atom and its properties. While it was educational, the concept of playing with atomic energy was definitely insane. While Gilbert U-238 was harmless, the next toy was definitely annoying for adults but fun for kids. Clackers were noisy toys that became popular in the 1970s. These colorful plastic balls were connected by a cord, and all you could do with them was swing them up and down to make a satisfying clack noise. While they were entertaining, safety issues caused them to vanish from toy shelves. Yet their nostalgic charm remains in the hearts of those who played with them. Although kids played with weird toys like clackers, they'd also enjoyed many colorful playsets that let them live in the imaginary world of their favorite cartoons. Colorforms were fun playsets that have thrilled kids since the late 1950s. Invented by Harry and Patricia O'Con, these sticky shapes let kids create their own scenes on bright backgrounds. With endless combinations, color forms flashed imagination and storytelling without the mess of art supplies. Kids could rearrange their designs again and again, keeping playtime exciting. Speaking of cartoon playsets, let's experience one that had a touch of mystery. Mystery Date Game was a board game that added a dash of suspense and excitement in 1965. Players moved around the board, trying to collect items and clues to discover who their mystery date would be. With the turn of a key, you'd unlock a door to reveal your date, adding an element of surprise. Wouldn't it be fun to have a game like this today? Well, the Mystery Date Game wasn't the only vintage item that would make your imagination go wild. Let us show you something much more nostalgic than board games. Matchbox cars zoomed onto the scene in 1953 that were invented by Leslie Smith and later popularized by the company Lesney Products. These tiny vehicles offered kids a miniature world of racing and adventure. Each car came in a cute cardboard box, perfectly designed to spark imaginations in kids' minds. These cars were like the Hot Wheels of their time. As we move from racing cars, let's roll into a game that has words flying off the shelf. Who wouldn't have played with Scrabble in the vintage times? This classic word game was invented by Alfred Butts in 1938. It was an informative game that combined wordplay with strategy, challenging players to form words on a board. Each tile holds a different point value, adding a competitive twist. It was an educational way to have fun and your vocabulary. And Scrabble wasn't the only thing making kids learn through daily games. Let's meet a creative toy that turned kids into miniature artists. The Vacuform game was released by Marx in the 1960s. It was a fascinating toy that let kids create plastic shapes using heat and vacuum. It felt like magic as kids could use a vacuum to mold the plastic into their desired shapes. This hands-on experience not only sparked creativity, but also introduced kids to the basic principles of science. As we continue our journey through imaginative toys, let's discover a doll that adds a playful twist to the mix. Troll dolls were created by Thomas Dam in the late 1950s, featuring wild hair and mischievous grins. That was the total opposite of Barbie. Initially crafted as wooden toys, they evolved into colorful vinyl figures. Kids adored these weird companions, and their unique designs encouraged imaginative play. Now, let's step into a world where tiny figures brought excitement and adventure to playtime. Fisher-Price introduced Little People in the 1960s, creating charming figures designed for tiny hands. These simple, rounded characters encouraged storytelling and imaginative play, helping kids explore social interactions. Little People have been part of various playsets, representing everyday life scenarios. Their fanciful designs make learning fun, sparking creativity in young minds. As we are getting deeper into imagination, let's meet a stretchy friend who's always ready for adventure. Gumby, the lovable green character, made his debut in the 1950s thanks to Art Clokey. Known for his bendy body, Gumby can shapeshift into any form, sparking imaginative play. Kids loved recreating their favorite scenes with Gumby and his buddy Pokey. This strange-looking figure encouraged creativity, reminding us that play knows no bounds. How many shapes can you create with Gumby? Well, not as many as you could with the next toy on our list. Silly Putty was initially invented in 1943 by James Wright as a rubber substitute. It became a hit toy when it was released in 1950. This stretchy, bouncy substance can pick up images from newspapers and bounce off walls, leading to endless fun. It was quirky, educational, and a bit messy, making it perfect for curious little hands. While kids enjoyed indoor toys like these, there were many popular items that allowed kids to have a blast outside of their rooms. We are talking about the world-famous Frisbee, a fun flying disc that was invented in the 1940s by Walter Morrison, who got the idea from tossing pie tins at the beach. By the late 1950s, Wham-O sold it, and it became a favorite for outdoor play. Kids and adults loved tossing it back and forth, improving their hand-eye coordination. The Frisbee is more than a toy. It brings laughter and adventure. As we enjoy our Frisbee, get ready for another toy full of friendly competition and fun. The Slinky, created by Richard James in 1943, is a spring that gracefully dances downstairs. It was originally made to stabilize ship equipment, but became a favorite toy when shown at a toy fair in 1945. Kids loved watching it walk and do tricks. The Slinky combines simple fun with scientific wonder. Who knew a spring could bring so much joy? But now it's time for a toy that would make any kid feel like Bob the Builder. Tinker Toy made its debut in 1914, thanks to Charles H. Peugeot. This mysterious construction set featured colorful wooden rods and spools, allowing kids to build anything they can't imagine. Its simple design promotes creativity and problem-solving, making it an educational favorite. Tinker Toy encouraged hands-on learning, showing kids that building is both fun and rewarding. And now, prepare yourself for an exciting toy that made you have a blast, and maybe a bit too literally. Get ready for a blast with the Air Blaster from Wham-O, a strange toy from 1965 that could shoot blasts of air with a trigger. This toy was so wild, it could knock over paper cups and even blow out candles from far away. The Air Blaster might not have been a good influence, but it was a hit at parties. Moving on to the last Marvel toy on our list, have you seen a ball that could predict the future? The Magic 8 Ball was a fun oracle that first appeared in the 1950s, created by Albert C. Carter. This mysterious toy looks like a giant billiard ball, but inside is a 20-sided die floating in liquid. Each side gives answers like yes, no, and ask again later. To play, ask a yes or no question, shake it, and look through the window for your fate. This silly toy is a cultural icon, often found at parties, bringing laughter and curiosity. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, take a look at this other video right here. And don't forget to subscribe